Happy Friday. Dean here with you. Big boy slate, not messing around. 13 gamer because it's such a big slate. 3-man booth running it back with Head Chopper and Kid Yahoo, Kirk D's. Chop, how's your day? How are things treating you? Happy Friday. Awesome sports day. We got the Panthers hopefully closing it out tonight. We got the Heat hopefully closing it out tonight. We got the Lakers maybe closing it out tonight. We have Yuri Perez. Unfortunately, he's not on the main slate, but Yuri Perez, future Hall of Famer Yuri Perez, making his MLB debut tonight for the Marlins. There's a showdown slate. Have fun with some Yuri Perez. If you're in a season long, you're too late. You already missed out. You missed out on Yuri Perez. Chop, how's Friday treating you?
It's okay, Dean. Friday's Friday. It's been good. We got a busy weekend coming up, Dean. You know, it's Mother's Day, so guys, don't forget, by Sunday, you better have something planned out or a card or something. So, and, take care of all that business. And, yeah, it's been a good Friday, Dean. I can't complain. Big day, big night for you in sports. You don't want to go back to MSG for a Game 7. You just never want to do that. So, you need to close it out tonight, man.
Are they gonna? What does the Chop sense say?
My senses tell me that they are the better team. Like eyeball tests tell me Miami's the better team, so they should close it out tonight. But you never know, man. The NBA is wacky, man. I think the champion was decided on some fluke stuff in the first round already. Dean, get a drift to this one, man. Can you believe? Yeah. I mean, no offense. I don't mind the guy. I enjoy watching the guy play, but can you imagine how unbearable social media is going to be if Nikola Jokic wins a title? Oh my goodness.
What do you mean? Well, because the irony of him winning in the 1 year he's not MVP, is that kind of thing?
No, the fact he's got. I mean, there are. Like Kobe has like a pack of fans that are rabid, right? You can't touch Kobe or they'll get on you. And everybody has their own, a lot of these superstars have their own. The Jokic fans they're off the charts, man. They support this guy no matter what. So for him to get a title this year, that would be something. I think, deep down inside, we're all kind of rooting against it except for those guys.
You're rooting against Jokic because you don't want to see people on Twitter victory lap how good Jokic is. He's
incredibly biased because he happens to share chat with a Philadelphia 76ers diehard fan who thinks Joel Embiid is the greatest thing ever. And all they do all day is talk about all the Jokic stuff, all the Jokic. They love to yap in this secret chat. And he's calling out Dink is the way I'm taking it. And he's calling out Big T. And he's calling out Big T right now.
I mentioned nobody's name. Social media is a wide ocean of fish. I didn't say anybody's name. So
the thing though, Jokic is backed up by math. You believe in math, right, Chop? Math is real.
Listen, Dean, let me just forget about what he said. Kirky's full of BS. All right. I do not dislike. In fact, I dislike by a wide margin Embiid much more than. Like I dislike Embiid. I actually enjoy watching Jokic play. I dislike Embiid. So that's all. What he said is just full of it. But it's not Jokic. I like watching him play. I think he's a good player. He's a cool player. But it's just that he's got these stands, man, and they're crazy. So I don't know. It's just weird. But yeah, I think honestly that my eyeball tests tell me Denver might win this whole thing, Dean. To be honest with you. But to your original point, yeah, I think Miami's the better team. I think Miami closes them out tonight.
They're kind of a sitting duck, though, I think. What's that, Kirk?
It's weird that a two-time MVP should be third-time MVP has stands. Then who else? Who should have stands if that's not the case? Jokic is unbelievable.
Mark Jackson's not one of them. Mark Jackson left him out of his top 5 for MVP.
That's true. He left him off.
He said it was an accident. He thought it was like, I don't know, like he'd like a center and 2 forwards and 2 guards, I guess is the way he looked at it. He tried to explain it, but I don't know. Very strange. Not putting him in the top 5 for MVP, which is whatever. Maybe it was an honest mistake, but like if you do that, like you're not thinking about it very hard. You that's like the way college football polls are. Like it's just somebody that works for the team. It just they don't think plenty of thought into it. Just fill this thing out. It's just a nuisance. Boston did win, so they might move on. Go ahead.
Would you say like expert rankings potentially?
No, I put a lot of thought into my expert rankings actually. I flip flop. I probably spend too much time on them, and I go back and I adjust. And I hem and I haw. Myself and yourself, we partook. Did Head Chopper? I was taking a peek. I know Chop's on it as well. Or you were, Chop, did you partake today? You did not. Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, STL cards. I know, Chop, you work yourself in there several days a week as well. Dave Potts will be on later. We're just the undercard, right? Later on, you got Dave Potts, DerekCarty. Derek Carty. Potts had a nice little, not so subtle references to math in his article today, which was pretty funny. So I always enjoy when Dave and Derek have a conversation. And then it's also a Snell slate. Unfortunately, I did take a peek at the bat, and Snell is not like projecting off the table facing the Dodgers. We have Coors, of course. We have two really, really strong pitchers. One, if you look at the numbers, distinctly better than the other one. The matchups aren't necessarily perfect. That's Strider and Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole taking on Tampa. Tampa's been what I think the best offense all season long this season. And there's Corbin Burns, who's just been, you cover the numbers up, and he looks pretty pedestrian. But, of course, Burns, a one-time Cy Young or close to a Cy Young winner, spectacular pitcher. You are getting this distinct difference as far as asking price, but you're saving $3K. DK is not messing around. Fanduel boosted him up as well, but DK, start of the season, these guys, Strider and Cole were like 9.5, 9.8, 10.2, 10.5. Now we're talking 12K now. You got to pay the full freight, and not to say it's not justified, but it took them a while to get there, but they are there as far as the elite starting pitchers. Chop, you tell me. Give me your 30,000-foot view as far as this slate. Lots of teams to pick from. I don't love the pitching pool personally. There's a lot of guys you can talk yourself into. And Strider's expensive. Cole's expensive. Burns has just been kind of wishy-washy. Optimizers are giving out some weird names too. I'm not sure if you ran any optimizer stuff, but it's just like not a lot of stuff to feel comfortable about. And then, we'll talk about hitters in a second. But yeah, what do you have as far as your overview, your Chopper?
Can I interrupt? Sorry, and I don't mean to do this.
Sure.
We're going right into the show hard, and we've got some people in chat I want to say something to first, because we have Bobby Gomes. Bobby's watching, and he's saying Denver Jokic is going to ship everything. I just want to get on let him hear, because he's watching, how horrible of a take that is, that has no allegiance to Tatum or to Brown or to Marcus Smart. Then what are you looking for? He said Antoine Walker, or no, who did he say? Paul Pierce. Like, what are you looking for? Guy. These are all homegrown, right? These are all lottery picks that we picked and molded into this team together. So then I don't understand how he couldn't feel any sort of attachment to the team.
The Tatum thing, by the way, that could have been real ugly in the Boston media.
Oh, yeah. I was saying, I don't know how am I supposed to like this guy ever again? Like that's what I was like talking with my friends. But
he was just they were just rubbing himself in Philadelphia.
He bought himself a little time.
Yeah, I mean, he's still just 19 though, so he's got plenty of time to figure it out. Chop, this slate, your thoughts?
I kind of agree with you, Dean. Not a huge fan of this pitcher pool, considering there's 13 games, and you would expect a little bit that you would like a little bit more, and there would be tougher decisions. But to me, it's pretty simple, and it's not pretty, Dean. So I'm going to bypass some of those guys up top for some other guys up top, and then taking a shot on a couple of cheaper guys, and we can get into specifics later. But my overview, the big one from the big picture, is for 13 games, I do not particularly like this pool of pitchers at all, but I think I can find myself working a couple of these guys into my lineup. They seem okay, but in general, some of these studs I think are big time question marks tonight.
Current ownership projections: DraftKings, Corbin Burns, because the discount off of Cole, off of Strider, off of Gray. 35% ownership. Again, he's just 9.2 on DK. Garrett Cole, 32% ownership, 12K, full 12K, is getting 32% ownership. Sonny Gray at 22%. Strider at 22 seems a little bit low to me. Again, I know he's the most expensive pitcher on the board, but and he's facing Toronto, who wants to pick on Toronto, especially the top half of that offense. But dude just strikes out the world. His K rate is distinctly better than everybody. 42.4% this season? That's almost 12, 13 points higher than the next starting pitcher in the slate. I'm not counting Josh Taylor and his 11 innings or whatever. It doesn't count for me. But Mackenzie Gore is the next guy, by the way, if you're curious. And I think he's really interesting for tournaments, especially if you want to pick on producer Steve's Mets. You're searching for upside as far as Ks. Big ground ball guy as well. Obviously, big arm there, Mackenzie Gore. I think he's super interesting for tournaments. We'll talk about that soon enough. But Kirkwood, your thoughts? Because Burns at 35%, Cole 32, Gray 22, Strider 21. Again, I think that's a little bit higher than sort of I don't want to say the junk, but like the cheaper stuff to kind of make everything else work. And maybe pitching's just not great overall. Kyle Bradish is 16%. Martin Perez against Oakland. Eovaldi struck out 12 or 13 last night. Just a the offense, actually, to be fair, that Oakland offense has been kind of average all season long, but they're still not intimidating. It's a good ballpark to pitch in, suppresses Ks, but still a good ballpark. Perez, good ground ball guy. And the other side of that game, Kirkwood, Waldichuk is really cheap, and he kind of sort of makes stuff work. So he's getting 14%. Theoretically, he's supposed to be good one day. We haven't seen it just yet. Tyler Anderson, I'm not on the Tyler Anderson one, but I see some people like him. 10% versus Cleveland. Just Cleveland, not a lot of power, but the same old deal. They don't strike out a ton. Where are you at as far as pitchers? Because, again, unless you're spending all the way up, and it's not a perfect spot for Cole, it's not a perfect spot for Strider, there's not a lot to love here. I'm still figuring it out personally.
Chop's sitting in chat right now saying, Kirky called us out in air, sickening. Like, this is what he does. Like, it's crazy. I mean, how old do you, Chop? Grow up.
I don't see what's going on here. What did he call out in the chat? Was it erased? Did it not pop up? I don't see it.
It's the secret chat, Dean. I had to call him out in the secret chat because he's in here yapping that pie hole in the major chat. So it's just
none of us have access to the secret chat. We don't know what's going on. You're making
exactly. It's nice little confined space. It's a safe space, and how Kirk's spilling the beans on air, man. Like what goes on behind the scenes. It's crazy. Sheesh.
It's like the beach, man. I want to get in. How do I get in? How do I get initiated?
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Somebody nominate me. But all right. Yeah.
All right. So pitcher.
Yeah.
All right. Overview of the slate. There's the high end. It's Strider. It's Cole. It's Gray. I mean, picking on Tampa is just not something I want to do at this point. And Cole has, been a little bit less than stellar this season. I think he's still great, whatever. I think Strider is obviously the guy. If you can get to him, it's a risk reward matchup, obviously, with Toronto. Toronto's 20. They don't strike out a ton, but then again, Strider with his 42. I mean, that's a DeGrom level strikeout K rate, right? Like, so he's insane, and a good pitcher can always overtake a good offense. If their stuff is on. Sonny Gray looks pretty appealing to me. He's been pretty good with a 29% K percentage. It's more of a safety matchup against the Cubs where they're 8th in WRC plus. They don't strike out a ton either, but again, if he's on, the strikeouts will come. I'm on board with Burns. I have him in that top group. I know other people won't. I dug into him. There's a lot going on. So first, his K rate is obviously down over 10 points. So he's 30% last season. And he's just a smidge under 20%, which is bad, right? You look at his pitches, his velocity is down 1 mile per, like one tick, which is not a big deal whatsoever. Really, it comes down to one pitch for him that he's losing his swinging strike rate, and that's because he hasn't commanded it well, which is his curveball. He's got it. He's got his good cutter. He's got 4 offerings. But the curve has just been, and that's his whole thing has been like this curve that's really hard. He gets a ton of chases. He always has. He's not getting that. If he gets that together, everything will be fine. I have full faith that he's going to be fine this season. I think he'll probably be good tonight. The matchup is great. 8th in K percentage for Kansas City Royals, 26th in WRC plus. Like they're bottom of the barrel for WRC plus, even though we feel like they've been going off a lot recently. But they had struggled up until that point. So I'm on Birds there. Then the next range, there's Gore. I'll take a chance with Snell because he's not chalk, right? Like, and these are the times when you want to play him. The Dodgers, they're 5th in K percentage against left-handed pitchers. Obviously, they have a couple of guys who hit them really well. There's probably a BVP in play in there that Chop might like later. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But they're 22nd in WRC plus against lefties, so they look pretty safe in matchup. And there is strikeout upside, so Snell could come through tonight. There's Martin Perez, and then if I wanted to get a little bit crazy, it would be Smiley against Minnesota, who just stinks pretty much from an offensive standpoint against left-handed pitching. Buxton is good, and then nobody is good. So they're second in K percentage against left-handed pitching. So there is strikeout upside. He did have that one big K game this season. They're also 26th in WRC plus, so it's a pretty safe matchup. And then there's the bottom group if you want to get a little crazy with salary. Logan Allen is kind of like the prospect who's striking out more people than you would expect. Anyone expect them to. Tough matchup against the Angels. They don't strike out that much, and they have some high ISO bats. So it's a tough matchup, but he's in play because the price. The Waldichuk is the prospect. You're betting on talent, but it's the A's, and Texas does hit left-handed pitching pretty well, and they do strike out though. So there is some K upside there. And then there's no thank you for Bradish. I think the Orioles are the biggest frauds in baseball. And then Tyler Anderson and JP.
Why are they the biggest frauds in baseball?
They've played nobody until now this week. They've beaten up on the Tigers for a month straight. You should go back and look. It'll open your eyes. So, anyways, Tyler Anderson in play for cheap, but no thank you on Bradish. JP France is a complete wild card. It's the White Sox, so that could go well. So there's those are the three tiers. So I have the top tier: Strider, Cole, Gray, Burns. I like Burns. The next tier, I would take a chance on Snell or Perez or even Smiley. And then the bottom tier, I would say Logan Allen or JP France would probably be my favorites.
By the way, just worth saying, Cleveland's lineup is a little bit more strikeout heavy than it typically is. Now, just perspective-wise, they have Bell in there, who strikes out 27% of the time. Arias has struck out 53% of the time. That's probably not going to continue going forward. It's a small sample, but he's another K guy. And then, of course, Zunino in there this season, 30% Ks. No, 46% Ks against lefties this season. Again, small sample stuff, but he's got a long history of striking out. But like Anderson this year, 16% Ks, 11% walks. Just, I mean, a lot of fly balls, but there's just so little power on that Cleveland side. Zunino is the big power guy that they have, in the 8-hole. But shout out to the Cubbies. Christopher Morel is leading off today for Chicago. I know you mentioned Sonny Gray. I don't necessarily love the Cubs because I like Gray. You can certainly play the Cubs. There's some competent hitters there, but they did move Morel all the way up from the 8 spot to the 9 spot to the 1 spot today. You mentioned the Baltimore being frauds. Somebody pointed this out the other day, Kirkwood. The AL East, you look at the standings, like the way the AL East is, every AL East team is better than like every Central team.
But
I guess it's changed.
The bottom of the barrel, even the Yankees, who are just dead last, are
21-18. Yeah,
exactly.
Minnesota's 21-17, so it's changed. I guess New York lost, but it was just kind of funny seeing the other day. It was like they're just kind of listed in order of their record. The Central basically is not good, is the point, and the AL East obviously is as expected a very, very strong division. What's going on here in the chat? Yeah. Yuri Perez, producer Steve was asking about. There's a different Yuri Perez who's like 32 years old. It's not that guy who's pitching today. This guy's a tall drink of water. He's a big boy, 6'7", just turned 20 like a month ago, and he's pitching in the majors today against the Reds. And somebody asked I don't know what his price is. I don't know anything about that slate, but I like Yuri Perez. Somebody was asking about that as far as like a showdown or something like that. Yeah, Morgan. Oh, Fanduel all day slate. I can't answer that. I don't know what his price is, but sure. If he's like 6K, which they typically do that with cheap players. Yeah, they're taking umbrage in the chat here with Rushman and Mullins. They like the Baltimore Orioles here in the chat.
I said it because there's a Baltimore homer who keeps talking about our teams, like the Baltimore, like they haven't won. The biggest achievement that the Orioles have done since 1983 is had a player on their team who has played for 8,632 games straight.
Cal Ripken.
Yeah, that's their biggest achievement. They haven't won anything.
You ever hear the fake story about them?
So that's his entire lifetime, by the way. His entire lifetime. So I get it. I understand why this is like the championship so far after beating the Tigers for a month. I get it.
They were in the playoffs like 4, 5, 6 years ago. Except I don't know, it was like a playing game. They were in some kind of playoff environment, maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago. But my favorite, the Cal Ripken story, where allegedly there was allegations that Kevin Costner slept with Cal Ripken's wife. Are you aware of the story or no?
No, but I thought that the Celtics were going to lose last night just because Cal Ripken was in attendance, because I had been flashing the Cal Ripken picture in secret chat, and then all of a sudden he's like courtside against the Celtics in a must-win game. So I thought that was a bad sign for me, but fortunately they pulled it out.
Yeah. The story goes that supposedly Cal Ripken left the ballpark to go beat up Kevin Costner because Kevin Costner allegedly slept with his wife. Wasn't true, but and then the Baltimore just like broke the lights that night and they canceled the game. Essentially, they said they weren't working just to keep the streak alive. But unfortunately, it's not true. Fun story if it was. Well, not fun, you know what I mean. But like Nico Horner, that's the reason why I guess Christopher Morel is leading off, because Horner went on the IL for Chicago. Brandon Crawford should be back tonight for San Fran. We don't have an official lineup just yet, but they're expecting Crawford to come back tonight. Michael Busch was optioned to AAA for the Dodgers. We also should be expecting JD Martinez. He's another guy who should be expected back tonight for the Dodgers, making that lineup a little bit trickier for Blake Snell. Chop, Fanduel, anything different on Fanduel as far as DK when it comes to just rostering one? Obviously, you don't have the SP2 to kind of soften things up. If you want to soften things up, make it easier to get your bats in there. Are you playing both sites tonight?
Yeah, Dean, I'm playing both sites. Let me see. Let me refresh my lineups page real quick, make sure we got that going. But is there any difference for me? Nah, not really, Dean, to be honest with you. I don't think that the pricing isn't that much. Corbin Burns over on FanDuel is a touch cheaper than DraftKings relative to the salary structure. Martin Perez, who I kind of like, it's such a weird pool of pitchers. I kind of like Martin Perez tonight. And he's actually kind of expensive on FanDuel, though, so I don't know how much I'm going to have of him over there. And they bumped I kind of like JP France, too. They bumped him up in price tag on both sites enough to where it's a tough one to roster him. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, how much, but I do kind of like him. And that leads me to Yeezy was in chat here a minute ago, and he asked me what's my thoughts on JP France. And my thoughts are, he's a well-developed pitcher out of a good system, and they've been working on him for a while. He's not the 20-year-old.
He's old. He's 28.
Yeah, he's 20. He's not the 20-year-old super prospect like the Florida kid, but they develop pitchers really well in Houston. He comes out, he throws 5 pitches. He's got a nice little fastball, 94, 95, but it looks a lot faster. If he stays out of the middle of the plate, he's pretty good. He's got a nice sharp curveball, not a huge drop in it, but a nice sharp curveball. Like if he stays out of the middle of the plate, he's a really good pitcher. So I guess it's all about control for him. It's a pretty solid matchup. I don't mind him. He's actually one of the 4 or 5 pitchers that I could see myself rostering on DraftKings tonight. So I kind of like that. As far as that high structure of guys that we've been talking about, it's Corbin Burns and it's Sonny Gray for me. Strider is the most talented guy on the whole slate, but I kind of don't want to go into Toronto and play against that offense too much. Although, Strider can beat anybody on any day and smash them pretty good. But he's a GPP guy for me. Garrett Cole, man, I'm not a big fan of Garrett Cole tonight. Now, he could shove and he could put up one of those massive, 70-point FanDuel games. But he's expensive. He's playing the Rays. Like, they just saw him 5 days ago. They see him so many times every year. Sometimes he's good against them. Sometimes he's terrible against them. Didn't he just blow like a 6-run lead last week against them? So,
yeah,
just not a huge fan of Garrett. Like, he's fine in GPPs. He could absolutely shove, but I'm not a huge fan tonight. I think in that high range, I'm kind of sticking with Burns and Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray, the most intriguing guy tonight. I think he had a bad last outing, but he's been really, really good this year. And I kind of like me some Sonny Gray tonight along with Corbin Burns.
Sonny Gray this year, much like Cole, both those guys have been really lucky as far as homer the fly ball. Sonny Gray, 35% fly balls, 40 innings pitched, 0 homers, Chop, 0 home runs, a 1.35 ERA, which is spectacular. Is Sierra, for what it's worth, a 3.67, talking about him being pretty lucky as the homer the fly ball stuff, obviously. Cole, 4.7% homer the fly ball. I think he's just given maybe 1 homer, possibly 2. I think it's 2 now. Not a lot of home runs given up by Cole. Both their K rates about the same, about 29, 28% this season. But Cole historically is a guy who's given up some homers, given up a fair bit of fly balls. think fly balls are down 34%. I feel like it's higher than that historically. According to Fangraphs, by the way, JP France is the 33rd ranked prospect for Houston. So like that's my understanding. Like when I was looking at this guy, I think a week ago, or whatever it was, when he came up, that he's not much of a prospect. What about Forrest Whitley? When is that guy coming up? That guy's supposed to be legit. I think he's got a little bit of a hiccup injury wise.
You know, Dean, you can take like rankings for prospects and throw them in the fireplace. They really don't mean a whole lot. You know, you just don't know. Like the guys who are younger are going to get higher rankings just because of the age thing and all that. I get it, but Forrest Whitley's been bad. He's battled injury since the first day he signed with the Astros, so he's kind of getting healthy now. And if he can just stay healthy, he's a pretty good pitcher. We'll see how that plays out. But you know, forget about all that other stuff. I know he's not highly ranked, France, but like neither was Framber Valdez. You know, neither was some of these other guys that have come up. Luis Garcia, nobody knew who that was. He's a serviceable pitcher now. So is Jose Urquidy. They just develop pitchers really well. So, yeah, Whitley needs to stay healthy, though. And if he can, he'd be pretty good.
What's up, chat? Now, I haven't officially said hello to the chat. Kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. One of the reasons why you subscribe is when Will's show, you guys know Will? You guys know Chief Justice's show, the Take Your Pick'em show that comes on 10:30 in the morning. 10:30 in the morning, Will be on the air. Of course, Will hosts the Prop Shop Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Jump in the Prop Shop. Some of our Discord channels are free. Some of them are premium. That, of course, is a free channel. But Chief Justice kicked off a brand new show. It focuses on things like underdog and prize picks. And it'll talk about how to take advantage of early lines that may be weak, early lines that may be exploitable, and early lines that are probably fixed by now that the edges have possibly gone away an hour and a half before first pitch, because that's how things go. The early bird and the worm, that's what they talk about, right? They're talking about that with prize picks and prize picks and underdog and sites of that such. He'll help you take advantage of bad lines. 10:30 in the morning, usually Blender's show, 11 o'clock. Blender dissecting all things with the Results TV, talking about, I think he has an MMA show he talked about on Friday. McCool comes on one day a week. Blender will help you really dive into all sorts of things when it comes to strategy and DFS, things that you probably never even considered. But yeah,
How does Blender find a time to do these shows in between all his wrestling cruises? It's crazy, man.
He's going on another cruise. He's not a wrestling cruise, but he is going to wrestling before he's going on the cruise. If that all makes sense. He's going to Vegas where there's going to be wrestling. And then instead of going home from Vegas, he's going to go to Alaska. He's going on an Alaskan cruise. It's non-wrestling related, my understanding, but he's stopping by Vegas to go catch some wrestling. And
Chop, are you a wrestling guy, Chop?
You know, I used to be hardcore into wrestling, and then I turned 14, and
that's exactly what I said. Then you found out it was fake.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's been some good characters over there. I like Stone Cold; he was good, and there's some good characters. But no, I definitely don't follow it like those guys do.
You're talking about Kopech. I don't think I'm rostering Kopech. That's not gonna. Like, how many lineups you got to make, Chop, to consider Michael Kopech tonight? Because I am not getting there.
Oh, that's a tough one. He's got such he had such talent. You know, I thought a couple of years ago he's one of the next brightest things come, but then he gets these lapses, man, where he's just giving up like 5 or 6 home runs in a row, and it's just crazy. So, but he's still got the talent, and Houston's not been particularly good this year at all, to be honest with you. So I think there's something. I think you could roster him probably, but certainly not. I'm running one lineup on DraftKings. One lineup. No way. Okay. No way he touches that lineup. But over on Fanduel, on 150, he might make some just because that arm talent. If it intersects one night with a weak opponent and he's finding the strike zone, all that good stuff, then yeah, he's a GPP guy.
We got your boy Bobby Gomes in chat saying Alaskan cruise cannot be fun. I mean, Chop, you've already said before, you're just not a fan of cruises, no matter where it's headed to. It's got to be. I don't know if you have to get off the boat, get off the cruise. I don't know if that's encouraged or not. pack a jacket, I would imagine. I don't know. I'm a Florida guy, so it's got to be really, really cold up there. But the scenery, if nothing else, was pretty spectacular. So some people are standing for an Alaskan cruise, others not so much. Where do you stand on the cruises, Kirkwood? Being a Northeast guy, I feel like cruises aren't a big deal up there.
There's only one cruise that I would even contemplate going on.
Okay,
and that would be the Gronk cruise. Looks like a pretty fun time. But,
I would not want to go on the Gronk cruise for the record.
Other than that, you couldn't pay me to go on one of those cesspool. Like it's just a petri dish of germs and
just pack some soap. You'll be fine.
I mean, why? You can get on a plane and go to an island or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, why do you want to sit on?
Don't port at an island. You got your own little private island.
Plus, I get seasick. It's like, why do you want to be trapped in this like disgustingly gross little casino? And like, there's a pool that it's just filth everywhere. Kids pissing in it all day. And
well, no other place. That's the only place they go.
Cruises are not for me. No, thank you.
Derek says, what about Gore, the ownership? I think Gore is a spectacular tournament play. I think he's awesome. One of my favorite tournament plays, actually. I'm for sure going to get at least one lineup of Gore. What is his current ownership? Because I feel like it's not terribly high. But again, he's at the second highest K rate on this slate. The ballpark is not great from a pitching perspective. It's good weather, and it's a good hitting ballpark as is. We'll talk about that in a second as far as weather edge. We have Mackenzie Gore at – I had to scroll all the way down as far as ownership. 0.7, is that correct? Oh, man. Get yourself some Mackenzie Gore, 0.7. I will be above that. It's not very hard to do that. By the way, pitchers, umpires, hitters, umpires, they have a fair bit of umpire data today. Go ahead and jump to that. I was just looking at that earlier. A lot of – okay. All right. This is all in lineup HQ, by the way.
Can I give my Kopech take?
Yeah, go for it.
Kopech stinks. The play is the Astros tonight. I mean, so look at Kopech's numbers this season. So he's got a 21% K rate. His velocity should be hovering around 96. He was down to 94 in his last start. He's got a 13% walk rate. Guy is homer prone, and then you get the bullpen right behind them, which has been their top 10 worst in Sierra, and they have the highest home run per nine out of any team in baseball right now. So I love the Astros. Someone said a watered down Astros lineup. To me, this lineup, I'd like to get your opinion, Chop, because this lineup looks pretty good to me. Like who are they missing?
It's the best they can do. There's no Altuve.
Yeah. They've got Jolks is right. You like Jolks, right? Chop?
He stunk so far for the record.
Stop it, Dean.
But there's potential there.
He has.
He's had some.
Is he using a 29 at bat sample again? Is this
83 at bat. It's 8. I like the power of this
at bats. No, he has had some big hits so far, and he's young and
he's got a 73 ISO, Chop. 73.
It's okay, Dean. It'll be all right, man. It's not about the hits. It's about when you get them timely. Runners on base. Get some more. Double. Get your hits with runners on base. Drive them in.
It's almost like Dean's
later innings.
It reminds me of when Dean's been slandering the batting average champion.
Crazy.
Luis Arraez? Luis Arraez is batting like 400.
No. Before that, for who on the Astros?
Oh, Brantley?
He was Dean was slaughtering Dubon. Dubon was nails for a while. Michael Brantley. Michael Brantley.
No, another.
Gurriel. Gurriel.
Yes, Yuli.
If you like singles, roster all these guys.
I mean, I like a 3% strikeout rate, Dean, out of my hitter. That's good stuff, man. And just never strike out and get up there and just slap it the other way, slap it all over the field and get you, Dean. But anyway, this lineup for what they have, okay. You know what I like about it is he finally decided to who cares about lefty righty, let's get the two lefties, the two best hitters going back to back in the lineup, so that's good. And then I think Kirk is right when you get down to 6 and 7 and even 8. Pena is solid, we know that. Jolks I think does have he has many ways to get you there in DFS. He can hit home runs, but if he gets on, he will steal. He will attempt to steal, so he's got that. And I actually don't hate Jake Myers. I think he's probably the best all-around center fielder that they have right now. So I don't mind the lineup. I mean, if Abreu ever snaps out of it, it'd be all right.
Spoiler alert, he's not.
Dean, you don't know. Dean
he's done. It's over.
Might just be a
it's
slow,
over.
Just might be a slow starter, Dean, as opposed
like 37.
to you. He's a slow starter. You're a fast finisher. You know what I mean, Dean? Just relax.
Oh man. Fast.
If you like singles, by all means, roster yourself.
Are we talking behind Costco type things that we're saying?
It's Friday night.
Hey, it's quantity versus quality, man. That's what we talk about, right?
Dean, let me ask you this much.
Yes.
So you don't like the whole singles approach and the
way
you don't like all that. So what you're telling me, Dean, is you think your approach is smarter than the 5 consecutive ALCSs this team has been in that they put, and this is the approach that they take with a baseball team. You think you're smarter than that? I mean, just for the record, Dean, that's fine. I get it.
No, they're not.
You're one of those guys. You're one of those guys.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm saying that they're more concerned with winning the baseball game. They're not concerned with I want to help Chop win a GVP tonight. They don't care about that. That's not their consideration.
That's what we're here to say.
That's
what we're here to do for you. That's what we're here. That's why we're telling you.
He wants singles.
That's why we're telling you. You know what?
I don't want him.
Jordan Tucker back to back. That's a nice little piece. And then bottom of the order, get past Abreu. You've got a little something there out of 6, 7, and 8 in DFS. So
I mean, let's just go see what the chat thinks. We got a comment from Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones, one of our most respected chat members.
I'm sure it's a great comment.
Dean, smarter baseball guy than Dusty Baker.
It's not what I'm saying. And by the way, Dusty finally got my emails. I've been emailing for years. Can we stop with the left-right nonsense? Let's just play Alvarez and Tucker back-to-back. These are the 2 best hitters you have. So there you go. That's something I've been saying, screaming that one at an annoying rate for sure. But
I love that. I love that 1 through 6 stack. Maybe leave out
Dubon
Abreu.
Stinks. You don't love Dubon.
Maybe leave out him or Abreu. But Dubon can get there. He can get there.
Abreu's terrible. Let's keep Pena's kind of terrible now. You should turn it around though. I think you will.
Pena's fine.
Yeah. All right. We've spoken enough about Houston. I'm not playing Kopech for the record. And Dubon, if he has 2 home runs tonight and beats me, so be it. But and while Tuve comes back, that spot's warm for him. He's come back soon, Chop. I think he's on is he in Double-A right now?
Oh, baby. We got a nice little some news.
Uh-oh.
What's that?
Which is good for our boy Burns. Salvi Perez has been scratched.
Oh, okay.
Perez and Zunino.
Zunino. Okay, so that probably, I don't know who the backup catcher is for Cleveland off the top of my head, but Zunino, they probably have less power than Zunino. Probably don't strike out as much as Zunino does, but
so that's tough for Tyler. That's like Tyler Anderson's 3 strikeouts. That Zunino is like even if he homers, he's still getting a golden sombrero on the other 3 at bats.
Golden's 4 for the record, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't want to be that
guy.
What's 3? What's 3? I don't think 3 has a nickname. I'm pretty sure that there's no nickname for 3. I think golden sombrero is 4. I'm not sure if there's one for 5. That's hard to do. Even if you're trying to do it, it's hard to strike out 5 times in a game. Yeah, so we'll get updates as far as lineups. Cleveland getting a scratch as well. The Tyler Anderson thing, man, like I just can't.
So I have a question. You said you've seen a lot of people on him. You said you've seen multiple. I know Cheese is one of them in his article. Who are the others?
That was I think several people ranked him today. Now I know I did not rank him. STL cards. Yeah, so myself and yourself, we did not rank him, but Cheese and Cards have him 4th. They both have him 4th, which he's 5'5".
I found it hard ranks because I'm probably the only one who has Snell. Am I the only one with Snell? I like Snell tonight.
You are. You are.
So
and I have Gore the highest.
You do. Yeah. I like Gore. I mean, Gore's been ridiculous.
I mean, the Mets have been absolutely disgusting this year.
Awful, gutless, right? Imagine.
I mean, they've already been shut out 7 times.
So you know anybody close to you that's a Mets fan, Chop?
Not anymore. They've all abandoned the team.
Anybody that might be listening to the show by chance that likes the Mets?
Somebody that might actually be working on the show with us.
Producer Steve,
is
he walked away?
You must not follow him on Twitter. You must not follow Steve on Twitter.
Who's Steve?
Well, he's the producer of the show.
Oh,
which one is Steve?
No,
which one is Steve?
I knew that. I didn't
it's a 9-man operation.
I didn't actually know he was a Mets fan. Interesting. That's tough, man. That's tough.
It's been a rough go for the first month or so, and again, I should mention I was talking about Weather Edge. Weather Edge does like that game from a hitting perspective. So, sure, the Mets are in play. 157 game sample. We've seen a bump in home runs at 14%, a bump in runs at 7.6%. Talking about 4 miles per hour straight out dead center, 84 degrees as far as the weather, as far as the temperature. 60 is the dew point. Baltimore's got a little positive bump as far as their ballpark. Positive bump for the Yankees, 18.7% as far as homers. Runs getting a boost at 9.1%. It's in the 80s as well. I like the weather in Boston. Kirkwood, boots to the ground. Did you go outside today? Because I am a sucker for the Cardinals versus lefties. I don't know how long Paxton's going to pitch. We have not seen him in the majors since 2021, 2022, had Tommy John. Used to be, at one point, there was a window where he was like, I don't know, a top 15 pitcher in the league. Paxton was awesome. He's kind of a shell of himself, and good for him. That Boston rotation would be spectacular if it was still 2017. We're seeing a boost in homers at 15.2% in Fenway, 10.6% as far as runs. Can you confirm, Kirkwood, boots in the ground? Is it nice outside today?
Beautiful out. I went on a walk this morning about 8:30. Sun was shining, still is shining. It's like 80 degrees. Let me pull up my dew point model. Yep, it likes it a little bit. No real wind, but this game should be. So first of all, you're dealing with two pitchers coming back from injuries in Wainwright and Paxton in this game, both probably shells of themselves at this point. Paxton, his big problem has always been he's just completely fragile. He's always getting hurt, right? So he looked really good in the Cactus League coming into this season, and then he already hurt his hamstring, and that's why he's been out. And then he threw his rehab start, and he got absolutely shelled. So, I expect – I mean, the Cardinals, at least they're coming back to life a little bit. I don't know. We should check STL Cards' Twitter, see how they've been doing lately, because he's been giving us the daily play-by-play of Tilt. And, I mean, they've been disappointed.
He's been on fire. It's been spectacular to watch him.
They match up very well against home run, against people, lefties who give up home runs. So, I mean, Edman is just really good against left-handed pitching. Goldie, obviously, Contreras, Arenado, Yepes, and Carlson are really cheap. I mean, that's a great stack, the Cardinals. So, I'm on board with stacking up this game from the bat side.
The Cardinals are my number one stack on the slate. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I have them number one. It's funny. I have number one. You have them number two. STL has them number two. And Dave, Cheese did not rank the Cardinals, which is – man, that's. I mean, there's a lot of good offenses that are worth talking about. Of course, we're in Coors today, Philadelphia versus Colorado. Total in that game, jumping off the page as well at 11. Almost a 6 total for Philly. Austin Gomber, not a good pitcher. Obviously, Philadelphia, two of the best hitters from the left side, but certainly you can roster yourself some Harper and some Schwarber as well. Turner winning off. Baum up to the 2 spot. Turner, Baum, Harper, Castellanos, Schwarber, Realmuto, Sosa, Harrison, and Dalton Guthrie. What do we know about Dalton Guthrie? I feel like I don't know much about Dalton Guthrie. Kirkwood? Dalton Guthrie?
I looked him up. I know a little bit about him.
What do you got?
I think he's like 28 years old. He's does not project to be very good. He's got a little bit of speed, not much power. He's taking Christian Posh's place, so I mean, there's nothing to like about him.
Isn't he on Oakland, Christian Pache?
I don't know.
I thought Christian Pache was on Oakland. He was a part of the trade with the Braves. You're thinking of Brandon Marsh, I believe? That's who's not playing today? I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. They're not playing. It's Daily Fantasy Sports. Hear about today. And
Let's
today
see,
only.
Let's see where Pache.
I thought he was in the A's. Christian Pache. Pache?
Yeah, the guy who used to be on the Braves.
Yeah. Isn't he on Oakland, or is he now in Philadelphia? And I just missed it.
Didn't Oakland get rid of him because he's
I think he's on
Oh,
Philly.
he's on Philly now.
He's
All right,
been
my
on
bad.
Philly. Yeah, right. You make me feel.
Has he
like
been
I don't
playing
know
like
what I'm talking
regularly? If I just missed this, because I haven't been playing with DFS.
The point is that he's replacing this low level player.
Okay.
You follow? You follow?
Fair enough. I missed that he was on Philadelphia now, or forgot it. My bad. This Guthrie dude sings country songs. Okay. That's not really worth it.
He does have fun fact. He does have a country. He did have a country album.
What was the name of it?
I don't know.
Oh.
I just read it when I was reading about it.
The fact is so fun. You didn't even dig into it even further.
I'm not a country guy. I'm not a big country.
Yeah.
I like that one song. With a pair of jeans that fits just right. You know that one?
I don't know.
Friday night.
Oh, I think I know that one. Yeah, I think I actually know.
It's like in an Applebee's commercial or
yes,
something.
yeah. I think that's.
It's catchy. It's a catchy tune.
It's something. Chop's got to be a country. He's in Texas, so they'll kick him out.
I have a little country music.
Yeah. Do you know what song he was singing?
No, never heard of that one. Never heard of that one, man.
Chop, give me your favorite stacks today, 1 through 5. I'll tell you our consensus ranking first, and tell me if you agree or disagree.
Okay.
Myself, Kirkwood, Dave Potts, STL Cards, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Boston, Houston, your Astros, the Giants. I kind of like the Giants too against Ryan and Nelson. Dodgers, Baltimore, Colorado, Atlanta. Nobody's playing the Braves today. Just throwing it out there. And they're like one of the best offenses in baseball. And I know the Hound Bassett's pretty solid, but just whenever like nobody's playing the Braves, you should probably get over the field. And it's not very hard to do it if you're running a bunch of lineups. But yeah, Chop, Philly, St. Louis, Boston, Houston, San Fran, Dodgers. Is that kind of your order? Is there something too high? Is there something too low? Is there something missing?
I know you get some chalk in Coors Field, but man, it's hard to get away from a really good hitting team in Coors Field against more or less a bad pitcher. I know somebody in chat earlier said, Gomber is low key not terrible, but he's not good either. So, and I mean, yeah, these last 3 starts, he's actually been fairly decent, 2 of them on the road. But then you only have to go back to the start before that where he gave up 9 runs in 2 innings. Yeah, they could really so Philly's got to be your de facto number 1, right? So then St. Louis Cardinals up there against Paxton. Yeah, I get that one. I like that one. I kind of, I hate to do this to Kirk, but I kind of like Baltimore tonight a little bit.
What? The funny thing is I love Baltimore tonight.
Yeah,
You're a hypocrite. Come on.
I was mainly talking to somebody in chat.
They've got.
Well, you can have that conversation in private. You don't have to. Go ahead.
It makes them feel good when you get mentioned on the show.
I have
big show with Chop.
I would say that they have if they get to the playoffs and they get in a series, they probably got no chance with that pitching to win a series, but they can be an explosive offense sometimes. So yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind the order. I kind of like Milwaukee tonight, even though these guys have really stunk this year on offense. But there's some pieces there that, I don't mind the pieces. And then it becomes a free for all. What were some of the other teams you're talking? Because that was kind of like where I had my cutoff point. Houston, the home run ball could get there tonight. After that, Colorado, Taiwan's not terrible, and Colorado can be sometimes not good. So it's not like I'm going out of my way to boost up Colorado just because they're at home tonight. They're okay. Boston against Wainwright. There's one. Boston's been hot. Wainwright, we have really no clue what kind of Wainwright we're going to get. So Boston is in the mix
40,
too.
41.
Yeah, and then the rest of it is just like.
Are you age shaming?
Well, at some point, I don't want my picture.
God. Dean,
I was
almost over. I was almost
TJ.
over what TJ said the other day, and then you got to go and bring it back up, Dean. Unreal.
I would trust a 41-year-old to make a DFS lineup before I would trust him to throw baseballs professionally. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to call that age shaming. Sure.
You're talking about Wainwright?
As a general thought, I'd rather have, if somebody's 41 years old, I like their ability to make a DFS lineup first before I like their ability to strike out professional hitters. Is the point. There are a few exceptions, I suppose, but not many. By the way, according to our lineups page, this is kind of hilarious. The Royals lineup has been updated. I guess we got to refresh it because they have 10 hitters. If this was true, this would be spectacular. There's 10 hitters, and Jackie Bradley Jr., JBJ, is batting 8th and 10th, which is amazing. Not true, but I would love that. We saw that Sal Perez was scratched. Let's hit a refresh. Maybe we have a new lineup for Kansas City, and it's only 9 guys. It still says 10 dudes. It's very strange. That's a Zach Brown band, by the way, I believe. Is that we're talking about?
Pair of jeans that fits just right.
Chicken Fried? Is that? I'm actually aware of that song. It's not terrible for what it is. It's fine. Sure.
It comes on in a bar. It's electric. It's
karaoke crowd pleaser.
So it looks like Vinny P is going to be batting up towards the very top, and they got him in the lineup when he wasn't in the lineup. I think what happened was they realized it was Fettuccine Friday.
Uh-oh.
And they scratched Sal Perez.
Tyler in chat, by the way, says JP France went to his high school. How good was JP France in high school? Witt, Vinny P, Olivares, Melendez, Garcia, Prado, Dozier, JBJ, and Furman. So that KC lineup, obviously not spectacular. If we're going to see a turnaround from Burns, this seems like a pretty good spot to do it. Other offenses. What do you have, Kirkwood, as far as the Giants? How do you feel about the Giants tonight against Nelson? We are expecting Brandon Crawford to come back. So, the Giants annoying with their pinch hits. Ryan Nelson, not very good. I believe the roof's open as well in Arizona. Pretty big total on both sides of this game, 5-5. San Fran expected to start with Berbia and Stripling to be the long man. Your thoughts as far as, I guess, the entire game, Giants, Arizona. Anything standing out for you?
I definitely like the Giants offense as a whole to put up some runs here. The problem is I'm going to do now is pick up the bat. First of all, there's an extreme hitters ump, which is nice to see. And it looks like minimal pinch hit risk. As far as the bat is saying,
3 lefties in that Arizona bullpen that none of them worked yesterday.
Yeah, so I'm just saying what the bat is showing, because some people say that that's math and we need to respect the math, so we can't argue with the math. So that's showing really the highest as being Brandon Crawford, who I think is like the lowest actually, because they like his glove and they always let him hit against lefties. So that's strange to me. But then Wade. But as far as like Jock, it's all minimal pinch hit risk, it's saying. So if it's going to stay like that and that's to be trusted, I do like this stat. There's a lot of home run hitters and it's a good spot for him. Roof open too. Does that matter? By the way, that just gets me.
It's hot. No, it's hot in Arizona.
The roof's open. It's hot. It's like you get that feeling. And
it matters. Yeah. Roth will tell you it matters.
How hard it is to hit one out center field in that park?
Center field's ridiculous in Arizona. The center field wall, it really is pretty silly. But like pulling it or hitting the ball to the pool is much easier. Not much easier, but
it's good for like triples, and it's got a lot of outfield space.
Just want to say, Cam the Man was asking in chat, "Are starting pitchers okay in Houston? Rain concern?" And I was like, I didn't see anything, and I just refreshed Ross weather report. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth will be on about 15 minutes or so, as well as Derek Carty, CEO of the Bat, as well as 2-time millionaire winner Dave Potts. There's been a refresh, and scary color, orange. He's leading with orange yellow right now in Chicago. A late start looks increasingly likely with that rain gradually fading this evening. I expect a late start and play, though it may be a few hours before it's fully dry. It will be quite light for most of the night, so they may just play in some sprinkles after an initial late start. So, keep an eye on that one. Of course, Roth will give the most updated updates at, when he jumps on and probably take you guys all up to lock 7:05. But yeah.
Question regarding that. So you said, leading with orange. Wouldn't that kind of make sense? Like we would prefer orange in the beginning and then it to be yellow because it kind of shows that they can wait it out. Is it based on time there, or is it?
No, his color system, the first color is the dominant color. If it was yellow-orange, that means it's less scary than orange-yellow. You don't know like the code? How Roth does the color?
I've been using my dew point model for many, that's the nice thing about having beta access.
No, that's unless he's changed it. The dominant color, if there's two colors, the dominant color is the first color, what he leads with. So like orange yellow is scarier than yellow orange. So
okay,
yeah. So I guess that's good that you asked because probably people didn't know that. Did want to mention that. By the way, if you don't want to worry about things such as rain, you can play fantasy sports a different way. How do you do that? You play on Stat Hero. Stat Hero, it's a unique fantasy sports platform that you guys know it, you guys love it. You've played on it before. It allows users to compete against the house instead of the players. Like Chop, players like Kirkwood. You're playing against the house. We had that Searing 12 contest. That's over. The Searing 15 contest with the NBA playoffs. We have there's a Searing 15 contest for NBA playoffs and the Searing 20 contest for MLB Pick'em. They are just getting started. Join this free-to-play contest and win to start your streak. Keep your streak alive by playing each day, build your streak, and win prizes with consecutive wins, including some swag, some RotoGrinders swag, some RotoGrinders premium, as well as cash prizes, American dollars, $10,000 first prize for the Searing 15 and a $20,000 first prize for the Searing 20. Use the promo code GRINDERS, that's GRINDERS, GRINDERS, 50% deposit bonus up to $250. Join the action today on Stat Hero. All right, Chop, are we panicking about Houston or just going to kind of wait and see what Roth has to say?
Well, I mean, we got to defer to the guy who gets paid to do nothing but track the weather. Like, that's his thing, right? Like, so we got to wait and see what he says. In fact, Dean, if I'm not mistaken, we get to talk to him directly here in a few minutes, don't we?
15 minutes, yeah, give or take. That's
okay,
usually the time they chime in.
We'll see what he says. We'll but I mean, it is what it's in Chicago, so you just never know about that crazy weather, man.
You get paid to do a lot of things, and apparently one of them is to give your favorite Paul Wall verse in chat. Is that what I'm just catching up on chat? Is that what's happening?
I did not get paid for that, but the man asked a question. And I gave an answer, Dean. Gotta answer the people.
Feel free to fire off your questions. We're here for the next 15 minutes or so. Do hit that like button. Do we have any gimmick today? There's no Spidey bombs. I don't think TJ is lurking, unfortunately. So what is the incentive? Chop, you got any homers for the people you want to unleash at a certain threshold? Do you want to just be a nice guy and give it to them? But what's the story? Who's going to homer? And Chop, let's not give the obvious stuff. Like, be ambitious. Who's really going to go yard that nobody sees coming?
Okay, Dean, I'll start off. I don't know what's, this or that. How about Josh Jung? Now, I know his name is Young, but if I say Young, people might type it in Young. It's Jung. It's spelled Jung. So Josh Jung.
Yeah.
Is that out there enough? You need something else? You need something else?
No, that's pretty good. Yeah. And I'm kind of proud of you that it's Josh Young. I'm kind of proud.
I mean, if you didn't know that, Dean, that's borderline racist.
What?
If you didn't know how to pronounce that man's name, you'd be borderline racist.
Okay. We shall move on from that. I have questions, but I'm going to table those questions.
Now let's see. The Kirk's got to give one now.
What am I doing?
Kirky?
A home run.
Oh, home run. Juggalo bomb.
There you go. Yeah, Juggalo bombs. Yeah.
All right.
Shout out Violent J.
Shaggy too dope.
There you go. That's all I got. There's only two, right? There's no more? I don't think there's any more.
All right, I'm going to say Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker. I'm just going to say Kopech gives up a couple bombs tonight, and Kyle Tucker gives. I'm not going to take the easy Yordong. I'm going to go with just a little bit behind Kyle Tucker. You want me to get first? You want me to give another one?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Byron Buxton.
Ooh, I want one too, Dean. I want another one too off the radar. All
right. By the way, just Michael Brantley, Chop, I hope you're sitting down. He's got a shoulder, so they're going to shut him down indefinitely. This might be it for him. I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe he's not going to have the ability to hit doubles. Maybe if he comes back, he can get just exclusively singles. But hopefully he gets back at some point. But Brantley is shut down indefinitely. Not good news for your Astros and all their singles. Chop, who do you have as far as the next one? Ambitious homer pick.
All right, I'm in Coors Field, but I'm a little bit off the radar in Coors Field. Give me Edmundo Sosa.
Cheap.
Okay.
Cheap.
I think that kid really has talent. I mean, every time I see him, he's like smacking the ball around. So I'll give him a shot tonight.
Let's pull up the old plate IQ on Sosa. It's a really small sample size, Chop. 38 at bats versus lefties this season, but a 294 ISO and a 450 WOBA. Again, the sample is crazy small, but like you said, he's been crushing baseballs in a small sample. You had a thought, Kurt.
Like Dean, I hate to do this because there's a million, but if you go back to the World Series Game 6, he almost won that Game 6 and would have probably won. They probably would have won Game 7, the Philly. He almost won Game 6 with that shot off of Framber, man, early in the game. Like, if they put up a 3 or 4 spot right there, the way Wheeler was dealing, who knows, man? So, tough break for Phillies fans that one didn't get out of the yard.
It would have been easier if he knew what pitch was coming, probably. Like if they had a camera in center field and it was communicated to him, and maybe you bang on something, possibly a garbage can, whatever's available, and then all this stuff was communicated in a matter of seconds, and he knew, okay, it's a breaker. Maybe he got a better chance to get it like 10 feet further.
Are we still doing this in 2023, Dean? Are we still doing this? Like
he's so giddy because his Panthers and like
it's so crazy. They
top prospect.
They already proven that the whole sign stealing thing was so minimum of an advantage. It was like nothing to it, and then everybody did.
It was like the Deflategate.
Yeah, and everybody did it.
No,
they all piled on. Everybody piled on.
Dean's one of these guys. He's one of those guys. He keeps bringing it up 5 years later. Unreal.
It's a fun because this is the reaction I wanted. I got you guys both going.
Unreal, Dean. Dean's giddy. He's giddy tonight. It must be Friday night. There must be a big crowd forming at Costco. He's getting giddy now, man.
Oh, there's a line. You say there's a line for him?
There's a line. It's a Costco 2-stop shop. You go and pick up a Costco pizza, and then you hit up the alley with Dean back there.
It's a big pizza. You've had the Costco pizza. It's a big pizza.
It's terrible.
I'm not a pizza snob. I kind of like it, but
I eat it. No, it's disgusting. Yeah. I'll eat it.
Pizza. You'll eat it, sure, but
it's so green. It's not good, but it's like I'll eat it.
Bospra wants Chop's BVP play of the day. Yeah, Chop. Any BVP plays? Big slate, big boy. 13 gamer.
You would think with a slate this size, it would be a massive. But the one guy I'm gonna pull out for you, and I don't typically like going this small on the sample size, but there's a lot of things going on here. I'm going Jurickson Profar tonight, Dean, BVP play of the day.
What?
Wow.
What is Profar? That's not a name I was expecting to hear. What is?
I'm not taking the low hanging fruit here, Dean. I'm trying to push myself to the maximum here. Profile.
Low-hanging
BVP. Walker, two homers and 11 plate appearances.
He's got. Listen, but the
key is only one strikeout, right?
What if I told you can get a batter that has twice as many home runs as strikeouts?
You're telling me if a batter has got an incredibly small sample size.
It's massive, Dean. I want it. I'm taking it. Sign me up. Profar. BVP.
Would that be something you might be interested in, Dean?
Yeah, Dean.
Well, it's amazing how it's 80 at bats for Jose Abreu, 100 at bats for Jose Abreu. Give him a chance. Let him break out of it. 5 at bats for Profar. Well, clearly he's the greatest play ever. He's going to hit 2 home runs tonight.
Didn't say greatest play, Dean. I'm saying
I like Chuck Nasty leading off tonight against.
There you go.
What year is he leading off into? 2023? I don't.
I feel like he's going to hit one tonight.
He's got a good nickname. I'll give you that. He's got a good look, a good overall presentation, but Charlie Blackmon is just nuts. It's been rough the last couple of years, and he's another guy. It's over. It's over. Good run, but it's over.
What about his looks? I've never heard you mention a good look.
He's got a good his whole presentation, like the face, the hair. There's a lot going on. No, you've seen Charlie Blackmon before, right?
Yeah, of course. Interesting.
This conversation is going a different direction here.
I'm just jealous that I can't grow that kind of beard.
We've seen your mustache. You know,
that's what I'm saying. I'm justified for being jealous. Steven's saying Chris Taylor is a BVP guy. Have you looked into that, Chop? Chris Taylor, BVP? Is that something? Is he on your turf right now?
There's a big problem, right?
What's the problem?
Oof. What? Like BVP, like the opposite way. This is good BVP for Snell. This
11
helps.
Ks. That's the
this
key.
helps Snell. This helps Snell's case right here.
No walks, by the way. He's had 24 at bats against Snell and never walked once. That's a problem. Just like stand there and don't do anything.
11 Ks. He's stricken out 11 times.
Dodgers lineup is out.
Blake the Snake.
Why he's a snake? Because his name is Blake? Is that why is he a snake? I don't understand. What's the correlation?
I didn't
what about his characteristics that makes him like a boa constrictor? Or any snake? A diamondback? I don't know. Freeman
could just be a garden snake. He doesn't have to be a boa constrictor.
Well, okay. Are you afraid of a garden snake? That's the guy I want to stack against. I'm
afraid of all snakes, to be honest. I'm afraid of every snake.
To different degrees, though. The boa is the one you don't stack against. The garden snake.
If I see a snake of any kind, I will like scream like I'm a 7th grade girl and run.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
It's not good.
By the way, Dodgers unofficially out. JD Martinez officially back. Betts, Freeman, Will Smith, JD Martinez, Taylor, Muncy, Vargas, Rojas, and Thompson. Questions in chat. Do feel free to fire them off. We're here for the next 5 minutes or so, whatever's in your mind. By all means, we're happy to answer your questions. Kind of catching up. Have I ever watched any of the YouTube videos of the Gathering of the Juggalos? I have actually not, but that I'm afraid of watching. I will sooner pet a garden snake than I will watch the Gathering of the Juggalos. Whatever shenanigans are going on down there.
Yes, Dean.
Yes.
Just, if I wasn't so disciplined in my show structure here, Dean, I would make a joke about you petting a garden snake, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
But
I'm behind Costco.
I've got too much willpower, Dean, to fall for that low hanging fruit.
Credit to Chop for not mentioning that, for not bringing that up. Credit to him.
What's the context of you typing in Natalie Portman in the chat? What am I missing?
Someone wrote Garden State. Good movie.
Garden State. Yes. Natalie Portman and the dude from that hospital show, Zach Braff.
Zach Braff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
I think
Peter
he wrote and directed it.
Jim Parsons was in it. Method Man was in that movie. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I believe it. I saw it many years ago. It's been a while.
Great.
It's not bad. I haven't seen it.
A little Molly involved. A little Molly.
Hey, Dees wants to know pictures on Yahoo. We got Kid Yahoo right here. So Kirkwood, I know you gave a rundown as far as Fanduel, as far as DK. Is there anything different on Yahoo as far as your favorite pitchers? Is there a super cheap guy that you consider rostering, or have you settled just yet as far as your premium pitchers?
I haven't built yet, but I can give a peek. So, okay, Waldichuk's going to be – people are going to play him. There's a lot of bad optimals. They click optimal and play that. So, let me check what that is right now.
It's being pointed out that it's a garter snake, not a garden snake. No, that's two different things. There's a garden snake that's like a nothing snake, and then there's something called a garter snake that I would be afraid of too. Yeah. Was not aware of the garter snake, but there you go. While you're thinking of that, by the way, go ahead.
Looks like everyone's going to be on Waldichuk.
Which is then you shouldn't be.
And Burns, he's really cheap though. But then there's Logan Allen as a pivot off of him for $2 more, 28. You also Garrett Cole's going to be in the mix for some people. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna. I'll probably try to lean towards a higher end pitcher to try to beat, and hope Waldichuk stinks, but haven't quite built. I'm sure Philly is just ridiculously expensive. Let me check.
Chop, your thoughts as far as DK cash pitchers? It's not super obvious to me. There's like two of like five guys probably.
Dean, I think when you crack open the tournaments tonight on DraftKings, and you type in Head Chopper because you're looking for my team, I think what you'll see is Burns and Sonny Gray. But I reserve the right to maybe swap out Sonny Gray with a Martin Perez or a JP France if I deem I need that extra money for hitting. But I think right now we're looking at Burns and Gray on DraftKings.
Yeah, the only issue there is salary, obviously, and that's why optimizers are pushing you onto guys like Tyler Anderson or Waldichuk or even Bradish just kind of make stuff work. And I did not like this slate from a cash perspective, so I'm not playing cash today. So I'm happy I don't have to answer that question, but it's not clear and obvious is where I'm at on it. Lakers, are Lakers winning tonight? They want to know what the Lakers.
Yes. Yes.
They close it out?
They're closing it out. We're betting the house on them.
Anthony Davis has it sticks it to all the media guys laughing at him. He's got a big game tonight.
Okay. I wouldn't doubt that. I think
he's had a big game in every game they've won. Yeah.
Yeah, and Wiggins is like coming up now with an injury. It doesn't look great for the Warriors.
The quote was like he's going to try to play, or he's expected to give it a. I can't remember the phrasing, but like he's expected to play. It seems like, but who knows how efficient he'll be. Mr. Richard wants to know, like Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. He mentioned possibly fading Philadelphia. Thoughts? We can give thoughts, or we can just let Dave explain his thoughts in a few minutes. He'll be on very, very shortly, as well as DerekCarty, as well as Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth will give his thoughts as far as the weather in Chicago, Houston versus Chicago. It's got a little bit dicier as the day has progressed. You have general thoughts here, Chop, as far as go ahead.
What general thoughts on what?
Course, your general course thoughts today.
That's Coors Field, man. You could look up and half the people are going to be incredibly disappointed at the end of it, or that same half is going to look up and go, "Oh my God, they scored 30 combined runs." You never know. But I just wanted to point out, Dean, that we have a semi-celebrity in chat. Is that the real Big Show Brandon in chat right now? Is that the real Big Show Brandon? He is he is like one of the premier horse handicappers in the country, man.
I believe it is.
He knows his ponies.
Yeah, feel free to confirm or deny. He's just asking you about chief meteorologist, and I was like, yeah, Roth is the chief meteorologist. I don't know, and I guess Kirk would if something were to happen to Roth in a pinch. At least Kirk would likes to think he'd be the guy that would step in. I'm not really sure. I don't know who's second in command, but yeah, chief meteorologist Kevin Roth will be on momentarily. Let's see. Give me your boldest fade, Chop. Like, what's like you said you're making one lineup on DK. And I don't know if you made it just yet or not, but maybe like your boldest fade, or like the one player or the one team that you're afraid of not having the most of.
What? That didn't my boldest fade, but then
the
team I what? Run that one by me again, Dean.
Is there a team or is there a player that you're like super afraid of like not having for whatever reason? It doesn't work salary wise.
Well,
you want to get away from it as far as ownership.
I won't have Spencer Strider, and that scares me because the guy can be absolutely awesome sometimes. That's the one pitcher that I'm scared of. And then because I'm probably going to go Gray and Burns, I probably won't be able to afford all the really expensive Philly bats. So I'm probably going to end up fading somebody like a Bryce Harper, a Castellanos, and Schwarber. Like I might fade that trio. So that's scary, Dean, in Coors Field. That's definitely scary, but I just don't see how I can have all that stuff in the same lineup.
Kirkwood, single entry team. Did you know where you're going to land most likely? Maybe is there one team that you're selling either like a full stack or a half a stack of?
The Astros.
Full stack. All right. Interesting. And Dubon, is he going to be in that lineup?
Maybe. Maybe I'll cut it down to 4.
You don't want him to Dubon you.
That's true.
Just don't play him. You're fine.
I might debone.
There you
go. But
still waiting on Texas. Still waiting on San Diego as far as lineups. I think Giants. No Giants just yet. Brandon Crawford should come back. Maybe they're figuring that out. Not really sure what's going on there, and of course that's a later game too. That game doesn't start for 3 hours or so. Otherwise, we have all the lineups there. We do have Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. We do have Derek Carty. We do have Dave Potts. we have the Crunch Time crew. What's up, Roth? What's going on, dude? How are things in your world? It's a Friday. Happy Friday.
Thank you. No, it's good. I had some Chick-fil-A and I got 2 spicy chicken sandwiches and I put both breasts on one bun and just had like a double decker.
That is tremendous.
It was delicious, but I'm paying for it, man. I'm too old. I'm getting like heartburn and shit. I'm too old for that move.
Waffle fries.
Did you guys see Carty just teleport? That was incredible.
Where did you?
I didn't see it.
He just teleported.
One of my many skills.
It was amazing.
From where to where? Well, I guess to here.
From
Where was
Roth's room to this showroom that he's in.
That's pretty sweet.
So wait,
Congratulations.
you doubled up the spicy. Did it make it seem spicier than normal, or just simply more food?
It was spicier. Yeah, it was extra spice, and I added pepper jack cheese to really be a boss.
Because that's an impressive amount of spice. The first time I had that, I was like proud of them for actually making it legit spicy.
It is, yeah. It's spicier than I was ready for, and I'm paying for it. But I'm here. I'm grinding. Let's go.
So what about an original and a spicy? You combine the two for a little bit less spice. Get your waffle fries. You get your milkshake. You got to have a milkshake, right, Cheese?
Oh, the milkshake to cool you down.
They do make a good milkshake, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the move next time.
What are the effects of teleporting? Is that losing a button or two, or is it Carty's just ready for the club? Is that what's going on? We're going club into that, Carty?
Up for the show to make it professional.
There's a lot for you guys to talk about. It's a Blake Snell slate, so just I'm not here to stir the pot or anything, but Blake Snell's pitching. If you guys were not aware, you got anything else for the boys before we step us out and get out of here? Chop and Kirkwood, or shall we just let them do their thing?
Let them have at it.
All right, that was Chop. That was Kirkwood. Go Heat. Go Panthers. Vamos Gatos. I was Dean. The start of the FanDuel sponsor, Crunch Time. It's Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Let's do it. Excellent stuff, gentlemen. Welcome to it, everybody. It is indeed Crunch Time. It is sponsored by FanDuel, and it is the show where we have 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz, helping you up in 2-lock and then through lock. We're going to talk stacks. We're going to talk pitchers. We're going to take your questions. We're going to do all of that. But first, we talk weather. I am a meteorologist after all. First, let's welcome in Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. What up, Cheese?
Not much. Doing great. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday to you as well. We got Derek Carty, creator, inventor, CFO, and just all around bishop of the bat. What's up, Carty?
Not much. Just hanging out, doing some super cool teleporting, that sort of thing.
House looks great. House looks good,
thanks.
bud. Happy for you. Hey guys, we got to talk about something real fast, and that is the weather in Chicago. This morning, I thought the weather in Chicago is going to be totally fine. And now I think the weather in Chicago is not going to be totally fine. I think it's definitely going to be a late start. And I think it's probably going to play, but it's not as if I am certain it's going to play. And I'm hoping that you say, there's so much good stuff on this slate. We don't even need it or want it. It's one of those mad games anyways.
I mean, the Houston offensive side of it is one of the better spots.
And I just heard Kirkwood say that's, if he was to pick one stack in single entry, it would be Houston.
If you're doing a bunch of lineups, you definitely have some Houston. Even if you're doing one lineup, you might have some Houston.
Well, if you don't want any risk, don't play that game. It is literally the only spot that could go wrong. Now, Alex said it was supposed to rain all day in Chicago and then be sprinkled at night. Instead, it sprinkled and now it's going to rain at night. That is.
And so let me just ask you this: there will be like a 2 or 3% owned JP France, one of the pitchers there. Is it like if it late starts, if the pitchers play, are they going to probably play?
Yeah. If they yes. Okay. Yes, that. Yeah, so I just it's not my favorite spot. Yeah, there's Cookford coming in with I agree. This was not my plan nor my hope, but it's the one game where I think there could be some issues. So do as you wish with that risk. I do not have the answer for you as to what's going to happen in that game, but I think my best guess is a long late start. And the Sodfather, they've got the best groundskeeping crew in the business. They got the Sodfather there in Chicago. I think he'll make it happen somehow, but I think it's going to be a long late start and there's risk. With that out of the way, let's talk about the slate in general. And Cheese, if you'd like to give me a general overview, that'd be great.
Yeah, the overview, it's a big slate. We have the Phillies in cores as the chalk, but I will say that as I'm building lineups and kind of listening, I don't think we're talking about like super heavy mega chalk. This is not like a 40% owned Phillies kind of slate. It's more like, sure, they're the top team, but there's like a dozen really good offenses. I think it gets fairly spread out. And then the pitching is interesting. I think it's more a handful of expensive guys, and then the very cheap stuff is going to be the popular combo. Like we've got three kind of nonsense cheap pitchers who, because of the matchups and the salaries, aren't really nonsense and are probably even the chalk, which is strange.
Yeah. Okay. Carty, anything that you want to add here? I saw you nodding in agreement about the ownership kind of being a little spread out.
Yeah, the bat has it kind of projected, well, very spread out. You know, Philly's the best, but they don't project to be massively high owned. Even the other side of the game, the Rockies, they don't project for all that much ownership at all. So yeah, it's a slate where there's a lot of good offense. There's a few aces, and it's one of those slates where, especially on offense, I don't think you have to get too wild because ownership's not that big of a concern.
Okay. Sounds like to me you're saying it's one of those slates where you don't have to play the one risky game and then bitch at Roth all night if something goes wrong.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to summarize it, I would say. Yeah.
But that takes a lot of the fun out of everything.
It does. Right? Yeah, even for me. All right, let's dive right into it. Let's talk some pitchers. Derek Carty, if you don't mind leading us off with a little pitcher talk, that'd be great.
So we have a top tier of three, maybe four guys, and they all project almost the same. So really, I think what you're doing is playing the salary and ownership game with them, because I'm not going to tell you that Burns is definitely better than Cole or that Strider is definitely better than Burns. Like, they're all really good. Mm-hmm. And the bat has Sonny Gray in that mix as well, just slightly below those other three. So on FanDuel, honestly, I don't think you have to play any of them in cash. And we'll get to the cheap guys in a minute. If you were, though, I think you probably just play Corbin Burns because he's the cheapest of those four and he projects slightly better than the rest. And so just take the salary discount and that's fine. On DraftKings, he's also cheaper than the rest of them, which is weird because he's really good. Like, he's a much better pitcher than Sonny Gray is. He's a better pitcher than Garrett Cole is. He's, about the same as Strider. And he's in the best matchup of all of them. He's facing the Kansas City Royals. So I don't understand why Burns is so much cheaper, especially on DraftKings than these other guys. Like, Strider is 12.2 and Burns is 3,000 cheaper. So that's just silly. Like, he'll be the most popular pitcher on the slate on DraftKings. You play him in cash for sure. And then I think the guy you pair him with is Ken Waldichuk. Waldichuk is not awesome, but he's facing the Texas Rangers, and they're not awesome either. They're, in fact, the opposite of awesome. They're pretty bad, and they're going into Oakland. It's, probably the best or second best pitcher's park in baseball. And, yeah, he's super cheap. He's $6K on DraftKings. He's 6.4 on FanDuel. I know Cheese is going to say you can't play him in cash, just spend up for Burns or whatever. I think you can play him in cash if you want to, even on FanDuel. And on DraftKings, I think you should be playing him because I don't see a reason to spend an extra $6K for Cole or something like that. Like, just play Burns and Waldichuk. And that's kind of the cash thing. And then in GPPs, again, play the salary ownership game. On FanDuel, it looks like Strider, because he's the most expensive perhaps, and because he's in the toughest matchup, is going to come in lower owned than Burns and Cole. So play some Strider, play some Sonny Gray, play some Waldichuk. And then on DraftKings, if Cheese can talk about some of the other like cheap nonsense stuff that is viable, but you have like Kyle Bradish, or you have he's really the other one that I think I would have the most interest in.
Okay. This is great because this was Carty's first little segment, and he's already set the chat on fire with Burns is about the same as Strider, and the Rangers' offense isn't any good.
Are these hot takes?
Apparently.
Burns, like,
I thought Strider was that dude, so that was a hot take to me.
I know what it is. Okay, so Spencer Strider this year has like a 16 strikeout per 9, and so of course So, of course, we know that he's going to keep doing that. We know that that's who he is now after 5 starts and a 16 strikeout per 9. Of course, that makes him better than everybody
He was
else.
that dude last year, too, wasn't he?
What did he do last year?
Yeah.
38% strikeouts. Like,
okay. I'm not saying Strider's bad. Strider's amazing, but he's not a lot better than Burns or anybody else.
Okay. All right. That's fine. All right.
I mean, literally every projection system has him for like 12.8 strikeout per 9, like every single one, and like a 3 ERA. That's awesome. But that's also basically what Burns is going to do.
All right, that's fair. I just wanted to, give you a chance to,
And he's in a much tougher matchup. He's facing Toronto in 80-degree heat. Like, come on.
Okay. Okay. Cheese, let's talk about some of the pitchers here. Do you agree with Carty on FanDuel here, where it's kind of you've got some great options up top, or you go to
hold on. What are all these people in the chat saying that the Rangers are good? They're a top 10 offense. And are you looking at their lineup? They have Robbie Grossman hitting second. They have Josh Young hitting 5th, Jonah Heim, Ezekiel Duran, Bubba Thompson, Leody Taveras. Like everyone is injured. Like Corey Seager's not there. Like this is not a good offense, folks. It's not. I hate to break it to you.
Okay, that's fair. Those are all fair
points. Do you disagree with me, Cheese? Is that a hot take that the Rangers are a bad offense?
I have them somewhere in between where you and the chat have them. Definitely not top 10, and I definitely consider it a plus matchup.
The bat has them where do we have them? Hold on. Lost my. They can't be anywhere out. They have to be at least bottom 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, sixth worst offense on the slate today, which is every team. So you can do with that what you will, but top 10 is absurd.
Okay. Okay. Let's cool down the hot takes for a second here. And we'll go to Cheese. Cheese, I want to talk some pitchers. I do want to start on FanDuel. This show, by the way, is sponsored by FanDuel. Make sure you sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. You get to take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers bet a measly $5, get $150 back in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply. Cheese, what are we doing over there on our sponsor site, FanDuel?
So what I can tell you is it's not a slate where I feel like it's worth our time to argue a lot of stuff. And most of what Carty's saying, I think, is reasonable, but I strongly disagree with most of it. The first thing I'll say is I do think Waldichuk is a good play, and he's too cheap. But like the FanDuel salaries are so cheap, like you don't need that salary at all. So in cash, like I wouldn't do that in cash just simply because you just don't have to. Mm-hmm. I think the big disagreement is just assuming that Corbin Burns is fine. I don't assume that he's fine. I don't assume that he's not. But right now he's just not very good. It is 7 starts and it's 39 innings. It doesn't get rid of what he's done the last 3 years when he's been awesome. But he's my lowest owned of the top 4 pitchers. I have Strider, Gray, Cole, and then a gap to Burns. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you not to play Burns. Personally, I would not play him in cash. If we get anything even remotely close to last year's Corbin Burns, he would be a lock button. I need to see it personally before I get there. So that's where I'm at. I'm playing Strider, and then I'm playing Sonny Gray if I have more money. Strider and Cole together is a little much. So that's where I land on those guys. And then as far as the Waldichuk thing, I have about an even amount of Waldichuk, Bradish, and then if I need the $500, Tyler Anderson. Any one of these guys could give you a negative, or all 3 of them could. And I don't want a whole bunch of eggs in any one of those baskets. But when you look at the mid tier of you're talking like Mackenzie Gore and Martin Perez and Blake Snell and those guys are not really any better today than Waldichuk and Bradish. So I am on board with a cheap SP2 in most lineups. And it's fine to play those guys on FanDuel, but it's really hard to even need that salary. Just like there's so many elite bats right around 3K that I think you can spend 10,000 or even up to 11.5 in most lineups. But points per dollar wise, yeah, Waldichuk and Bradish are certainly worthwhile plays on FanDuel.
Okay. How about over on DK? What are we doing there where you need to?
For me, I mean, I'm pretty spread out, but Strider is my SP1. I have the most Strider. And Strider Gray is a reachable combo, or Strider Burns if you want to go with Burns instead. Like you can do a lot with that lineup, and feel free to swap in Cole for Strider and some of them too. Like I wouldn't argue with you any way you want to go. I'm personally on the Strider side. But most lineups, just one of those three cheap guys, Waldachuk, Bradish, Anderson, paired with usually Strider or any of those other three expensive guys, allows you to do just kind of whatever you want. So I'm pretty much ignoring the mid-tier. I have because I do have 100 lineups, I have a little sprinkle of like a Martin Perez and a Mackenzie Gore, but I mean, I wouldn't tell you that you should play them for any reason other than just like if you have $2,000 just sitting around with nothing to do with it, I would play those guys ahead of Bradish and Waldachuk. But they're essentially even, so save the money and you can use it with bats.
Okay, guys at the top, guys at the bottom. That's pretty much what your game plan is. Yeah. Okay. Not an agreement. All right. Let's talk some stacks. How about we do that, Cheese? That sound good?
Okay. Now hold on. Timeout. I see someone in chat say we got a Rangers lineup with no Adolis Garcia. That is that is. I hadn't looked at the lineup yet. That definitely helps Waldachuk. He's the best right-handed hitter there. So extra little bump up for the Waldy man.
Are you sure he's the best right-handed hitter? Well, never mind. Forget it. I was gonna be.
Bring it back up. So they are now officially the worst offense on the slate, according to Carty. Where are we going here stack wise? And I assume it ain't Texas, but Cheese, where are you going?
So as we mentioned at the top, like the Phillies are the best offense and kind of the chalk, but they're not by that much the best or by that much the chalk. I think that the Cardinals and the Red Sox and the Astros are the next little group, although really it's like a dozen teams that are their next little group. I mean, you could say the Braves and you could say the Rockies and you could say the Giants, the Orioles. There's all kinds. For me, outside of that, Phillies, Cardinals, Red Sox, Astros, the Dodgers are my next favorite stack.
Okay. Carty, where are you going here?
Yeah, I'm with Cheese. The Phillies are the best. Not by a lot, but they're also not going to be so much higher owned than everyone else that you have to go out of your way to avoid them. Like you can definitely play plus EV Philly stacks.
And Carty, real quick, is that just because they're pricey and they're tough to get to, or is it because there's so many good options that people are fairly spread out and it doesn't matter?
I think a lot of it has to do with there being a lot of good options for the most part.
And a lot of it has to do with people's unwillingness to play a left-handed bat against a left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, that'll be.
So Harper and Schwarber are like the two main guys, and like people see, ooh, lefty, I can't do that, but
right.
You can.
Even though you should definitely be playing them if you're playing Phillies.
Okay, very good. Good note. All right, Carty, what else do you like outside of Philly?
Sorry, Chad is like up in arms today. Someone says if you don't like math, you are wrong. As if like that's like a bad take to understand. Like, of course you're wrong if you're not using math. Like that's literally what math is. It proves what is right and what is wrong.
I think they're just trolling. It's okay. I like what Robert said though. If you don't play the Rangers and GPPs tonight, you're bad at DFS. Took it right from Carty. All right, what are you doing here in GPPs outside of Philly?
Yeah, so outside of Philly. It's like she said, there's like a dozen teams that are all pretty similar. The ones that the bat likes the most are the Dodgers, like Cheese does, Boston, St. Louis, Colorado, Arizona, Houston. You can name another 5 or 6 and they're good too. Like, ownership wise, salary wise, I think the Dodgers probably are the ones that make the most sense, or the Rockies, but there's a lot of fine answers tonight.
Okay, very good. Guys, let's go position by position. We want to go around the horn. We want to talk some home run picks, and then we want to get to everybody's questions. So let's open up a little catcher talk. And Carty, you can start us off.
Oh, play Jonah Heim. He's the best hitter in baseball, according to chat.
Christ. All right. Who else are we? Where else are we looking at the catcher position?
Don't play Jonah Heim, not in cash at least. Wilson Contreras is really, really good at baseball and is treated really, really poorly by his major league team, but he's still really, really good at baseball. And he's hitting third against a lefty who hasn't seen the majors in a long time. We don't know what we're getting with Paxton. At one point, he was amazing. There's probably some rust. There's probably some, who knows, but he's going into Boston. It's an elite park. He's got the platoon advantage. He's 4.3K. So I think Contreras is probably your cash guy here. And, you know, if you need to go down and save money, you have like a Keibert Ruiz for 3K, who's like fine, or you have Connor Wong for 2.8. But otherwise, like, I think he's your cash guy. And then there's a bunch of guys that you can one-off or play in your stacks and GPPs. You have Real Muto and Coors. You have Smith in those Dodgers stacks that we like. There's a lot of catcher's actually pretty deep tonight.
Okay. Cheese?
Yeah, I really think catcher's like borderline my favorite position outside of the outfield. It's pretty weird. Like Real Muto is one of the better Phillies plays. Will Smith is one of the better Dodgers plays, and Contreras one of the better Cardinals plays, and those are arguably the three best stacks. And like you're not playing them because they're catchy, you're playing them because they're like among the best bats on those teams. You can also spend up on Rutschman or Sean Murphy. Yeah, I really don't like punting catcher. I know that's usually a thing, but that's a lot of good catchers. And because you're in a lot of lineups playing a cheap pitcher, you can get them, and that is what I would do.
Very good. All right, take me to first base.
Goldschmidt is the spend up of choice if you can do whatever you want. You do have Harper, first base eligible on FanDuel. I like Goldschmidt better than Harper anyway, but play them both. Olsen, Alonso, Christian Walker, my next little group of favorites. You can go cheap on DK for sure. FanDuel, Juan Yepes is 2,200. There's not a lot of lineups where you need too many $2,200 players, but like he's a totally fine one to play there. He's a little more valuable on DK at 2,900, or you could do like Justin Turner or Lamont Wade if you need something cheap and can't quite get up to like Goldschmidt, Olsen, Alonso. And I didn't mention Alec Boehm. I was thinking of him as a third baseman, but he's equally as viable at first base on DraftKings.
Okay, Carty first.
Yeah, I agree. Boehm is like, even as a first baseman, would be one of the best plays on the slate. But you are prioritizing Goldschmidt or Harper, obviously. Goldie, though, is kind of the one that I think if you are spending up, he's the one that I want to get to. If you want to save a little bit of money, I think that's certainly viable because there's going to be lots of expensive stuff at other positions. On DraftKings, that means going down to a guy like Justin Turner, a guy like Juan Yepes, who's 2.9 on DraftKings. Cheese said he's not as necessary on FanDuel because it's FanDuel, and I think he's right. But on DraftKings at that price, hitting fifth, platoon advantage in Fenway, he's a really good play tonight to save some money and to prioritize other stuff.
Excellent. How about second base, Carty?
On FanDuel, we have Mookie Betts as a second baseman, and at 3.5, hitting leadoff, platoon advantage against Snell. He's a really good play. You have Gleyber Torres for 3K there, who's always a little bit too cheap, and so I think he's a really good play as well. After that, second base gets kind of gross. Like, there's stuff you can do if you are going to play Rangers like Chat wants to, like Marcus Semien, you can certainly take a one-off for. You have Ryan McMahon in Coors. You have, Luis Garcia, whose price is, starting to go up these days. But at 3.3 on DraftKings, like he's still playable to save money if you need to. You have Miguel Vargas under 3K in that Dodgers lineup, who I think is a really good way to save money on DraftKings. And and on DraftKings, you have Tommy Edman at second base too. So leadoff, Cardinals. We've mentioned a bunch of Cardinals already. They're one of the best teams tonight. Their spot is great. He's hitting leadoff against Paxton. He's very reasonably priced.
Okay, yeah, seems like a lot of options. Cheese Niche the Great says Mookie Boots going for the double dong tonight.
He's going for it. I don't know if
He's
he gets there, but he's going for it for sure.
He will attempt it.
Yeah, I think he hits a home run. Yes,
Nice.
I will not predict 2. No,
Yeah, that'd
sorry.
be bold. That would be bold.
On FanDuel, Betts and Torres are very affordable, as is Ryan McMahon. So that's kind of my primary trio there. On DK, those guys are expensive. So I agree with the Tommy Edman thing is probably the best sort of mid-range play. And Garcia going cheaper. Miguel Vargas, a little even cheaper than that if you need something else. That's really all that I like.
Okay, third base.
Very good position. I think for sure my favorite play is the same as the Bats' favorite play, which is Devers. I don't think you don't need to be stacking Boston to play him. I mean, feel free to stack Boston, but he's one of my kind of, along with Goldschmidt, like favorite plays on the slate outside of Philly. If you're not playing Alec Boehm at first, you could play him at third. But as I look through the position, unless you're playing Goldschmidt, I kind of like third base better. Ramirez, Arenado, Bregman, Machado. I mean, it's a lot to like. Nobody's really going to play the Braves. You can throw an Austin Riley in there. You can play Josh Young if you want. You can play Chris Taylor if you want. You can do a lot of things. But I want to spend up at a lot of positions, as it appears, which is why I like going cheap at SP2. And this is another one. But Bregman isn't really even spending up. 4,600 on DK and under 3K on FanDuel. So you don't even have to spend a bunch of money to get good players.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Carty, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, Bregman and Boehm are kind of like the top two, and Devers and Boehm are like the top two. Devers is more expensive on both sites, but he's easier to get to on FanDuel. So I think on FanDuel, you probably prioritize Devers. On DraftKings, you do Boehm. And then it's like Cheese said, you have these other high-end guys that you can just one-off. If you need to save money, you have guys like Emmanuel Rivera or JD Davis or, Edmundo Sosa or whoever on DraftKings. You have Justin Turner on FanDuel. But really on FanDuel, you don't need to go much cheaper than like Turner, Bregman, Arenado, Machado, because they're cheap and good. So that's kind of third base.
Okay. How about shortstop, Carty?
Trey Turner is definitely the top guy at short, maybe the best play on the whole slate. Like, you're definitely playing him in cash. It doesn't matter the price. On FanDuel, he's 3.3K. On DraftKings, he's actually priced semi-efficiently. He's in cores. He's leading off. He's Trey Turner. Just play him.
Yeah.
On DraftKings, you have Tommy Edman, who we talked about at second, also eligible at short, so you can play him. I don't really like many of the spend down options. You can one-off guys like Bobby Witt. You can get some leverage off of Burns. You can do that kind of thing. But really, like, Turner is kind of the guy. And Tommy Edman on FanDuel, where he's only shortstop, is pretty cheap. That's shortstop for me.
Okay, Cheese, agreement on Turner. I assume he's got the rainbow there.
Yeah, when I say that I don't think Philly will be super popular, the exception to that is Turner, especially on FanDuel, where he's only 3,300. That's the chalk pad of the slate. He's a little harder to get on DK, where there's like a much bigger gap down to Edman. There's even a pretty big gap down to Witt and Lindor and Correa and those guys. But yes, he's very clearly the top play.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is cheap stuff like Chris Taylor, Paul DeYoung on DK are fine. Because if you're not playing Turner, you might be playing Edman at second base. And then, if you're playing Corbin Burns, maybe you don't want to play Bobby Witt. Now you're kind of already out of great shortstop. So at that point, I think it's interesting to punt with Taylor and DeYoung being my favorites.
Okay, let's take it to the outfield, Cheese.
There's a lot of these people. Yeah, I don't know who to say I like best. I guess I will say it's Mookie Betts, who is only outfield eligible on DK. You're probably playing him at second on FanDuel. But Harper and Schwarber and Castellanos, Tatis, Alvarez and Tucker, Judge, Buxton, Trout. There's a lot of great outfielders. I think if you're playing a bunch of lineups, you should be spreading these guys out. This is not a slate where I see the one or two that you just need to focus on the most. I really think you want a little bit of each of those guys. We have different pricing tiers. On FanDuel, you don't need to go super cheap. Where Schwarber's only 3,300. Like Jock Peterson, 2,900. Taylor Ward, 2,800. JD Martinez is back. Santander, 3K. There's plenty to like around 3K. Even Juan Soto's like 3,300. So there's a lot of these guys that are unnecessary spends on DK that are count as cheap on FanDuel. Whereas on the DK side, like Jock Peterson's 4,100. That's not cheap. It's not expensive. So if you can get up. But if you need someone around there like him, Taylor Ward, Conforto, 3,100. These guys are all fine. But I think we'll see a good bit of ownership on Juan Yepez again. Maybe even some Nationals outfielders. I think Dylan Carlson will be real popular. People will play Robbie Grossman. There's plenty of ways to play like one outfielder under 3K if you need to. I would pick Dylan Carlson if I was just picking one. But most of my lineups seem to have like one expensive guy, one mid-tier, and one cheap.
Okay. Carty, what are you doing in the outfield?
I mean, in cash, it's like, you're playing Bryce Harper, you're playing Kyle Schwarber, especially on FanDuel. You have, high-end guys like Fernando Tatis or Mookie Betts. You're probably playing them at second, but you can play them in the outfield too, and they're awesome. You have Yordan Alvarez, who's awesome tonight. Aaron Judge is going to be in play. Juan Soto is too cheap, as always. So on FanDuel, you really don't have to do a whole lot other than just like play good guys in good spots, and there's lots of them. Kyle Tucker at 3K is probably one of the best plays on the slate on FanDuel. On DraftKings, you need to be a little bit more discerning, but you can definitely spend up for Harper. You can probably spend up for one more guy, like Kyle Tucker's probably the one that I like the most at 5.3. And then you have cheap guys. You have Juan Yepez. You have Lane Thomas. You have Jarren Duran. You have Nick Gordon for almost min price, who's like fine in a good stolen base spot. So that's kind of, I think, what I'm doing with outfield.
Okay, good stuff. Guys, I've gotten some questions about, can we get an update on the Chicago weather? I don't have anything life-changing to tell you. I think they're going to late start it. I think they're eventually going to play it, but I don't feel super confident in that. So if you wanted to be safe, fade it. If you want to take some risk, go for it.
Can I be honest with you, Kevin?
Yeah, let's hear it.
What you just said there, that just changed my life.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got a quick question for you, Kevin. So about this thing.
Great.
Let's say we do get rain.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna.
What are the chances of like the game starting and there being like a delay, like a couple innings in? Like, is that on the table, or is it just like they'll delay it or postpone it?
No, I think they're just going to delay it. I think they're just going to delay it and play it. I think it's unlikely. They would have to just start the game in the rain for your scenario to happen. They would start the game in the rain, and then it'd have to get so heavy that they stopped, and they probably just wouldn't start it in the rain to begin with. So that's what I got on the weather note. I know it's not always super duper helpful, but that's what I got. Probably an hour from now, as we're closer to first pitch, I'll have a better idea with radar trends, and we'll be able to give you something more concrete. Okay, let's talk about some home run picks. Carty, why don't you pull up that old bat magic here and tell me the most likely home run hitter, and then give me something that's a little more fun than just saying like Yordan Alvarez.
Josh Young, I think, is probably going to – oh, wait, no, he actually sucks. Sorry, I was reading the wrong column. I was reading the suck column and not the good column.
That's good. It's a good catch, yeah.
So Yordan Alvarez, who is in that rain game, and Paul Goldschmidt are the top two. So Goldie will be popular. I kind of wonder if guys like Alvarez are going to be a little overlooked because there's so much good stuff and there's rain and whatnot. In GPPs, I don't have a problem taking shots on those Houston guys. Lesser off the board guys, Juan Yepez, I think for sure.
Okay, very good. Cheese, your thoughts? A couple home run picks for me. You've been coming with some off the wall names, and they've been going yard. What do you got for me?
So, like, in all seriousness, and it's even in my article from 8 hours ago, Josh Young, like, very much is a home run call.
Yes.
Come on.
I mean, he does have power.
He does. I mean, he's not bad. It's just like the whole Rangers offense this year, like not almost every single player, I guess, except for Robbie Grossman, is playing over their head and is very likely to get worse. Like Josh Young is fine, but he's like a league average hitter with some power. Like, let's be honest.
That's exactly correct, and that's enough for me to kind of like him here.
Okay. Yeah, I hope he.
I don't think we strongly disagree on how good Josh Young is. I think, we got to do the things we got to do.
Okay. All right. Guys, let's do some of the other things we came here to do. That does include taking some questions from the audience. It also includes something that I need you guys to do, which is hit that thumbs up for us. It's free content. It is literally two of the sharpest minds in the business. And all that we ask is you hit a thumbs up. We get more views so we can keep the show free for you. That's the goal. So hit the thumbs up for us so we can make sure that happens. Let's pull up the old Discord here. Well, there we go. Let's pull up the old Discord here. I'm going to scroll up just a wee bit here. We'll start here with Falcor. He says, FanDuel single entry. Do I play Martin Perez and game stack the St. Louis-Boston game? Cheese, play Martin Perez and game stack the St. Louis-Boston game?
I would personally not play Perez in a single entry.
Okay. D Gold says, Carty, I need a non-Yepes $2,500 util on FanDuel Cash. Thank you, fellas.
2,500 was the.
It was, yeah.
Give me a sec. I got to look at like salary.
In the meantime, cheese one for you here. Arenado or Bregman FanDuel Cash. Bregman locks an hour later. He does have the rain risk. If it's straight up, you would say Bregman, I assume.
Yeah, it's so very close. I would go Arenado. Don't mess with that rain risk if you don't have to.
Wonderful. I like it.
There is not a lot under 2,500 on FanDuel. Let me tell you, I'd rejuggle your lineup because I don't see anything that is worthwhile. Jose Abreu, maybe. I think he's the next best projected, and I mean, it's not awesome.
Yeah, it is not awesome. All right, FanDuel single entry. Cheese. In your article, you briefly spoke about not 4-4 stacking due to FanDuel salaries. Would you mind 3-3 stacking like Baltimore and the Dodgers with Devers and Alvarez as one-offs? I'd be spending down a pitcher to accomplish this.
Yeah, that build is exactly why I said I'm not doing all 4-4 stacks, because you can play Devers and Alvarez instead of playing Trace Thompson to fill out your Dodger stack. So yes, I love that.
Very good. Okay, FanDuel single entry. Carty, this one's for you. Do I play? Oh no, we just did that one. Do I want to play a pitcher against Tampa Bay with the wind blowing out? I don't know where they're playing.
Against Tampa Bay.
Oh, New York.
Right.
Yeah, it's 80 degrees with winds blowing out at almost.
Oh, this is Garrett Cole, right? Yeah, that's fine because he's Garrett Cole, and Yankee Stadium is actually not as much of a hitter. Yankee Stadium is actually projects as a pitcher's park at this point. It's a little good for home runs still, but it's not like this awesome hitter's park. Really, more than anything, this is about Garrett Cole being a good pitcher. Yeah, it's hot. There's some wind blowing out. That goes into the projection. It's not like Cole projects amazingly, but it's kind of the same deal. Like Strider is really good, but he's against Toronto and it's like 80 degrees. And what else is on this slate? So yeah, you can play Cole. There's no problem with that.
Yeah, I can confirm the wind and weather does not matter if batters cannot hit the ball. That is a key ingredient to the weather actually mattering. What are the safest Giants for pinch hit risk? Carty, that's kind of a you question. Can you go over I feel like we have to do this every day is like Giants.
Yeah. Last year, the Giants pinch hit everybody. And I feel like this year they really haven't done that much. I know they've kind of dealt with injuries and that's been part of it. Yeah, I'm looking there's not Lamont Wade, 11%, Jock Peterson, 9, Blake Sable, 18, Brett Wisely is 11. So it's not like anyone in this lineup really has massive pinch hit risk.
If you just want to be super safe, I mean, they're facing a righty. All the righties should be safe.
Yeah.
I mean, so say, I don't think you have to worry about Estrada. Haniger and Davis.
Okay. I got this question in from Ink Magma. How does the wind blowing in affect the Coors game? And the answer to me, and I put this in my weather write-up, is it almost not at all. Yeah, it's no matter what the weather is in Colorado, it's still the best hitting weather of the slate, unless the winds are blowing out in Wrigley, and that's on the slate. I was just pulled up Weather Edge. There's a 40-game sample size. Home runs have increased 4%. So basically, it just doesn't matter. It's the elevation that matters there, and that's all that matters. So I would not, I wouldn't be too worried about it. Let's see. FanDuel Cash 2v2 Cheese, Torres Crone or Betts Edman?
Betts Edman.
Okay. Carter, your best cheap pitcher on DK under 7K is that guy that you actually like. There's a dude you like under 7K.
Yeah, it's Waldichuk.
Yeah. And he got better than you thought he was because Garcia's out, right?
Yeah, so I haven't seen the projection yet, but I'm sure he goes up because of that.
Yeah. All right. Cheese, what is
Yeah,
a
he went up like a point after that, so.
Yeah. All right. Cheese, what is a Casey Schmidt and why has he been raking?
Like, it's great when people spell their name like in a way that it seems like that's probably how Schmidt should be spelled anyway, right? Like, why do most people put a D in it? Is what that, I mean, that's what makes
I
me
don't
wonder.
know.
So the raking looks to be out of nowhere. He didn't do much at AAA, although he didn't play long at AAA. So don't get too excited that he is raking in 3 games.
Okay.
Right. Maybe you play him in a stack, but be more excited about how he spells his name.
Very good. All right. FanDuel GPP, what are your thoughts on Simeon? Cardi, what are your thoughts on Simeon?
He's on the Rangers. If I was going to play a Ranger, though, he'd be one of the ones you can because second base is so awful, and he is very good at baseball. So
I love that Chad is taking care of everything for me. I don't even have to try to bother Carty tonight. Like they are doing it.
Well, Carty's really gotten our engagement up, so you gotta give him a hand for that. Good work, Carty. This is an interesting question, kind of a strategy question. DKGPP Cheese, on wide open slates like this, is going 2 high-priced pitchers less optimal because it prevents you from playing high-priced stacks that don't have ownership?
Generally speaking, I would say yes. Like, you're much less likely, because the 2 expensive pitchers don't have great matchups, you're not likely to get 2 ceiling games anyway. And with all these offenses, it is very likely that a couple of them go nuts, and it is likely that the big bats in them are a part of it. So I would say yes is the answer to that.
Okay. I got a weather question. I'll have to save that until after lock because I need to look something up for it. DKGPP, May or Gore? I think those are 2 people, but it sounds like
that's a Dustin May and a Mackenzie Gore.
Thank you. May or Gore? DKGPP. Carty, May or Gore?
I mean, honestly, I don't love either one. I guess I'm playing Gore if choosing between the 2.
Jared says, what if the bat is sentient and replace Carty with a cyborg? I like that.
No, that would never happen, guys. No.
That's exactly what the AI would say, Carty. That is exactly what they would say.
I mean, we've already seen the guy teleport. So
yeah,
I mean,
there's a glitch in the matrix here for sure. 1 spot left. Salary does not matter. Simeon or Grossman? Cheese, I'll give that one to you.
Simeon.
DK Tournament, your thoughts on JP Francais? Cheese, Carty, JP France?
I don't think you have to do it, honestly. I mean, you have that weather situation. It's a bad spot. I think there's better choices, but like kind of once you get beyond the guys that we've actually talked about on this show, most of the rest of the guys are like the same outside of the guys that are really, really terrible. So like you can, I guess, but there's better choices.
Okay. Cheese, is Sonny Gray an oxymoron?
It would appear so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. I
mean, that's more a question for you, I think.
Yeah, I believe it is an oxymoron. Yeah. Gregorius the Wise says, can I play Arenado Cheese against Paxton and GPPs even though he's bad at baseball?
That's obviously a question for Carty because the math, which does not lie, says he's a good play. So
I don't know if okay. So the math says he's a good play. The math doesn't say he's a good player. But yeah, it's a really good spot for St. Louis tonight. So especially in your stacks, Arenado is going to be good tonight.
Okay. Is it too thin stacking the A's, Cheese? They've been decent.
Hold on. I'm pulling up Arenado's Fangraphs page. Every time I bring up Arenado, Cheese says, is it good for him to hit home runs? He's got 3 home runs this year, Cheese. Where are all these home runs that I hear about? These mythical home runs that
the mythical home runs are the 64 home runs of the last 2 years when you say he's been bad.
I don't know.
You don't know about 64 home runs
for 2 years. That's pretty good.
It really is.
Is it 273 WOBA this year good? Can anyone in chat help me out? Is that
no? He's not playing well this year. But your whole premise of baseball is this year doesn't matter because of sample size.
My whole premise is he was overperforming the last few years, and this is bound to happen because he's not that good.
Based on which numbers?
All of his StatCast numbers, which are all very, very bad.
Hey, who's got the higher DK fantasy point ceiling, Burns or Sonny Gray, Cheese?
Sonny Gray.
FanDuel Cash Carty, Arenado and Tornado. Oh, okay. Arenado and Tatis or Bowman Chrome.
Oh, yeah, there's a little tornado emoji. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I was confused by it, but I like it.
It's probably Bowman Crone, but I don't think there's a wrong answer there. I think either one's fine.
DK Cash, Cheese, what are your thoughts for your best 2 pitchers in a DK Cash?
I would definitely have Strider, and I would probably have Strider and Gray. But I would not argue with you're going to get a totally different answer from me and Carty on this.
Yeah.
And you're going to, so I don't even want to give you an answer. I would play Strider for sure, and either Gray or go down to Waldichuk. But I think I'd play Strider Gray, but I say that knowing that I'm not playing cash and I don't have to make that decision.
Carty, you think it's Waldichuk and then that higher end pitcher who's too cheap on DK who sucked this year but is good in previous years?
Yeah, I think it's
much like Nolan Arenado. So you got to pick. They're either good now or they're bad now. You can't have them both ways.
I'm gonna take Waldichuk for sure, and then I'm fine spending up I'm fine doing Burns. If you're scared of Burns, then I would probably play Sonny Gray instead.
Okay.
But just to be clear, and we all hear it, Burns is still good because this year doesn't count. But Arenado is bad because this year counts. And this
Arenado is bad because he wasn't actually he was doing it all with smoke and mirrors the last few years.
Right. I'm just clearing up the math, and now we all agree.
All right, we've got it. Hey, we've hit the lock. Somebody said, don't forget about me. What did I forget about here? Can I go over Dodgers game in LA is weather neutral? Ooh. Let me check here. Yeah. Mid-60s. Yeah, I'd say. Yeah, light winds blowing out. Sure. We'll call it a weather neutral game there. The total runs are down 1.5% in 260 similar weather games, which essentially means, yeah, that's pretty weather neutral. Hey, with that, even though everybody love everybody, even though it made me wildly uncomfortable, that was a very good show, gentlemen. Excellent work. If you're watching this on the YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up for these guys. Just incredible content coming everywhere. We are going to get on out of here. So for Cheese, for Carty, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.